OMG, Dayna, I think we're live.
Yes, we are. We are. It says we are live as of 10 seconds and counting ago.
We are live. Welcome to Motivational Masterclass. Welcome to Motivational Masterclass. Wow. Okay. Well, this is episode number 1 that is getting ready to air. And I am so grateful that you are the first guest. Can you hear that feedback coming in?
Yeah, you know what? So I'm going to stop airing on Facebook, but I did post for those who are joining us.
Okay.
So I stopped that. I am ready. And then we're good to go. Can you hear me? I can't hear you now. Hold on, let me see. Oh, I can't hear you, Precious. Is your you have my mute off, my mic off, like I can see you? Can you hear me? But I can't hear you. I wonder why. Hold on. Maybe it is straight on my side. Maybe it has everything to do with me and nothing to do with you. Hold on. Let me see. We're going to troubleshoot real quick. Do you mind if I leave the studio and come back into? Let's see. Let me see if I do that. We're back and I still can't hear. I can't hear you. Hello. Mine's is on. Testing my face. Yep, it's man.
Testing the speakers on StreamYard. It sounds like they're working.
Is it? I know you have your earbuds in. Is that? Do you think your earbuds?
Try that. Can you
Yep,
hear me
I can
now?
hear you. Yep, I can.
All right. We're going to do away with that. Trying to be fancy. Okay. All right. We're going to come back to what I know. Welcome to Motivational Masterclass. We have made it through all of the hiccups. We're getting ready to air episode 1. We have Dayna Hennigan of Hennigan Realty Group sharing her story of faith over fear using the 7-step Stratosphere process. And so, Dayna, again, thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me and being a part of the first episode. Like, I truly, truly am so honored and excited. I'm so excited.
So what's interesting is that this morning you sent me a text because you were listening to the podcast, and I was like, you know what? I've watched snippets of it, but I hadn't actually gone back and listened to the full episode. And I ended up texting you saying, "OMG, there's some oil on that first episode." And so thank you for telling me that you were listening back. It just listening, I was wowed at how much we were able to cover it in just hearing your story in totality.
Yeah, I was looking and just in preparation, I was so excited about today. And so when I went to your page and I saw the podcast was already up, and I was like, let me listen to it. And I felt like I wasn't even there. Like, I felt like I was just a person in the audience, like, wow, like, ooh, that was good. Those are some good little nuggets. Like, let me write this down for myself to kind of go back in and, as a reminder for myself, like, don't forget to do this, and, to push myself into being better as the year progresses. So
Absolutely.
thank you for the opportunity to, to come in and speak, and then also to be able to record this for me, like I said, for me to go back in future dates to go back and just remember what I said and what I have challenged myself to do and continue to do.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, I know that when we recorded this episode, the event that you have coming up on Saturday, we weren't actually able to discuss that. So can you tell our listeners about your big event that you have happening? Is that the Shape Center?
Yes. So we will be at the Shape Center in Third Ward. We're there every third Saturday of the month from 12 to 2 p.m. And it is a free event. It's a home buying workshop. And I'll talk about it more in the podcast, where we go in and give you an individualized plan on how to purchase a home. But to sign up for, you can go to henniganrealty.com. That's HENNIGAN.com. I'm sorry, Hennigan Realty, REALTY.com. And you can see some information about myself, my husband, and then there's a link on there to join. And you can even register to claim $500 that can be applied towards your closing costs if you close with a realtor from Hennigan Realty. So go on there, www.henniganrealty.com, and register for this Saturday or any future Saturday events that we host for free.
Spectacular. Well, I see several people that I know and love logging in. Thank you, guys. I want to give special shout outs to Kawan and Marina. Dayna, we would not be here in this StreamYard going live if not for those two special huge shout outs to Kawan and Marina. Thank you for your tutorials and help. And even just within the last 30 minutes, I had to call Kawan because I was like, I can't figure out this part and I can't figure out that part. But it's a good lesson that what I told Marina last night, this morning, at some point, I told Marina, I said, if God had shown me the totality of this vision at the beginning, Dayna, we would not have. Because I was afraid. Do you hear me? Absolutely afraid, ridiculously nervous. And so I'm so glad that he just gave me the just bite-sized nuggets along the way, because I would have given up. Because it has definitely been overwhelming. But to get to this point, this day, and finally be getting ready to air this episode is straight God, all God. God did it.
Can I say what you did? You exhibited faith over fear.
What you say?
Faith over fear. That's what you exhibited, which is episode number 1, faith over fear.
Well, we're not going to belabor the moment. We're getting ready to air it live. I see my pastor logged in. Hello, Pastor K. She's actually episode number 4. So we're going to go ahead and let it go live. Dayna, we will be in the chat making lots of comments. Thank you everyone for joining in and listening. Of course, it will air live now, and the actual podcast, if you don't want to watch the whole video, go to precious-parks.com to listen to the full broadcast. Listening to it today, it was pretty spectacular. All right, well, we're signing off and we're getting ready to let the episode run. You ready, Dayna?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Motivational Masterclass. I am your host, Precious Parks of the P Parks Company, where we help you stratosphere live your highest level. I am so crazy excited about this first episode of Motivational Masterclass and the guest that we have sharing her journey of faith over fear using the Stratosphere 7-step process. So I am ready to welcome into the room our guest, Dayna Hennigan of Hennigan Realty Group. Let's bring her into the room. Hey, friend.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. How about you?
I am great and so honored to be here. I'm excited.
You should be excited. We have had a pretty spectacular journey. I want to be able to ground every show with letting people know how we met. So, can you enlighten our guests as to how we met?
Yes. So we met, was that 2018, 2019, I think it was.
Possibly.
Yeah, so I was in KSLP, KIPP School Leadership Program, where we started off in Chicago for a whole month.
Yes.
And you were a leader of the program. And so we definitely, we met there, we kicked off there, and it just evolved. You weren't my direct leader, but you were from Houston. And so it was like, okay, so I have to, when I get back to Houston, if I have any questions, I'm gonna have to lean on you, and so it was just a genuine connection that we had. And here we are, 2022, and we're still connected, Precious and Dayna.
There we go. And since I last saw you, you have a whole new endeavor with the shirt to speak.
Yes. Yeah. So start where we met was in education. Me being an assistant principal at that time, you were a principal. And yeah, now I am out of the educational field in a sense of, I would say this, I'm out of the traditional educational field.
Okay.
But I'm a realtor. My husband and I have teamed up. And so we are a group, a realtor group. And so I'm educating people still, but I'm educating people about home ownership and investments and, all that good stuff along the way.
That's good stuff. So before we jump into the Stratosphere 7-step process, I'm going to introduce all of the steps so that as we move through the steps, people will be aware of what it is that we're talking about. All right. So step 1 is all about the highest level. It is where you name that big vision, that North Star. It's your what and your why. Step 2 is all about your values. It's your ability to be able to name the foundation guiding your beliefs, your attitude, and your behavior. Step 3, action steps. 3 specific things that you're going to do to bring that highest level to fruition. It's like your to-do list. It's the details, the tasks to bring it to fruition. Step 4 is all about tracking and measuring. It's your ability to be able to identify the tools and the measures for your interim and the final end goal. Step 5 is all about resources and support. Your ability to name your needs, the people, and all of the need to know information. Step 6 is all about overcoming barriers, our ability to be able to visualize, think ahead, and prepare. And finally, the last step is reward recovery. We've done the doggone thing. So now how are we going to celebrate? How are we possibly going to restore? Or both. So those are the 7 steps that we are going to move through as Dayna shares her faith over fear process. So let's get started with question number 1. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So step 1 is all about highest level. Dayna, what was the what and the why?
So it still goes back to who I am. Since my background is education. I spent 18 years in education, and I mean, that's my foundation. I'm gonna be honest, like kind of moving from being in the traditional educational field into what I was doing. I thought about, and I even asked God, what does one have to do with the other? Why did you allow me to, spend 18 years in the educational field, and then all of a sudden you take me out this career field and you go into something else? But what he quickly showed me was you're still educating people.
Yes.
You're still coaching people. You're still, holding people's hand, checking for understanding. You're still backwards planning with your business. You're still doing all those things that you were already doing, and that I let you sit there in 18 years to grow, to bring that into it. So my foundation definitely is education. Like my whole purpose, my whole goal, where I am, who I am as a person, I am an educator. I'm just an educator who educates people about real estate now, instead of educating people about how to educate.
That's good stuff. I would say that that's probably one of the things that I noticed that was distinct about you as a realtor, was that I saw that you were giving nuggets of information. Not only was your advertisements, they were clean. I love the green. I was like, "Ooh, look at this." But I love the fact that I was always learning something. And I think that for the average buyer, especially first-time buyers, the knowledge can be overwhelming. The process can be overwhelming. And I just liked how you gave bite-sized pieces. It wasn't just, "Hey, here I am. Pick me to come and buy a house," but it was, here's a little nugget, here's a little nugget. For me, that increased my trust factor in you. I felt like if I chose you as a realtor, you were going to, give me the necessary pieces that you already recognize that I might be at a deficit in terms of my knowledge and understanding of purchasing a home.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you say that, because I hear that all the time. I gladly tell my clients my background is in education. So when I sit down and we have that initial buyer's consultation, I'm sitting there and I'm teaching them the whole process. Because most of my clients are first-time homeowners, and they don't know they are first-time homeowners, and some of them are the first time homeowner in their whole entire family. Mom or dad didn't, own a home, so they didn't get that foundation. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, if I say something that you don't know, feel free to stop me and ask questions. I'm okay with going back, just kind of bringing in those teacher things or whatever. I go in there, let me pause, before I give you too much information. I have the note-taking devices and stuff like that. So I kind of set up, my consultations with my clients like a classroom, to make sure that my clients feel comfortable asking. I don't want them to feel intimidated because they don't know something, just like I would with my students. I wouldn't want my students or even a teacher to not feel comfortable to come and say, "Hey, Miss Hennigan, I don't understand this. Help me to make sure that I understand what I need to know," because same thing I would tell my students, same thing I would tell my teachers. I'm not here I know what I know, and I know what you need to know, but I need to make sure you know what you need to know.
You are signing an agreement for, 20, 30 years, and so it's super important that we understand the investment and the responsibility of what it is that we're entering into, the commitment that we're making, right? And so, I really liked that when I came across all of your things on Facebook and Instagram. So can you distill for our listeners today? So your what was what and your why?
So it's, I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of hard for me to separate my what and my why. I guess, again, my what is my education, and my why, I guess it's just who, because it's who I am. Why do I do what I do? I guess it's, if I go back and everything just goes back to my years in education, I always had a fondness for teaching in lower economic areas. I always had a fondness for, teaching kids who look like me, who were the underserved communities. I taught, or what in education we call the Title I schools, so the underserved and overlooked. And I've taught in schools of kids who did not look like me, in communities that did not look like me, in communities that I was not familiar with in regards of how they were being raised, because that's not how I grew up. But that was just my funness, was just to go back to the community.
Yeah.
And so I guess that kind of goes and relates to my why. Of when I go in, I enjoy working with someone who comes to me and says, I would like to purchase a home, but I don't think that I can. And then when I tell them, not only can you, but let me try to help put some money in your pocket. You know, let's find a program. I have a lender that can help you, you know, do X, Y, Z. And to get them, when we get to that closing table, and, you know, we're taking pictures and all that stuff and, you know, celebrating, you know, and I write my little personalized, you know, note to them of the relationship that we've built. Like that, I guess that's my why, you know. It's not about me. It's about the excitement of being able to get that person to a point where they didn't think that they could be able to, you know, to be in.
It's funny, as you were talking, it made me think about a lot of our training in our farmer place. We talked a lot about to and through, right? And proving the possible. And so you have basically just transferred your educator attitude, your ability and desire to educate to and through, prove the possible, just in terms of home ownership within marginalized communities. So you're making the possible, something that felt impossible, possible for those who desire to purchase a home. Let's jump into step two. Step two is all about personal values. It is what's important to us. It guides our beliefs and attitudes, our behavior. Ultimately, it's what we spend our time and energy on. So when you thought of Hennigan Realty Group, what was it? What was the foundation?
So the foundation thinking about like the personality of my husband and my personality. So I've already said multiple times, you know, I'm grounded in education, and my husband is grounded in like the importance of community and finance. So he has, his background is finance. He has a finance degree, but we both still have that fondness of helping the community, helping the underserved and the overlooked, that marginalized community. And so that's kind of like the root of what we do. So like once a month is the reason why we do once a month, we do a workshop, we do a free workshop. And we were very strategic about making sure that we went to the community. So we hosted specifically in Third Ward at the Shape Center because, you know, that was a place that was very near and dear to my husband. Before we even got into real estate, we used to go there and volunteer. Oh, wow. So my husband, myself, our daughter, we would take our son along with us, and we would volunteer there. And we just kind of built a relationship within the community, built a relationship with Brother Deloitte there. And so it was just...
He has not aged.
Yes.
I've known him since middle school. He still looks the same, but keep going.
He does. Like, I mean, he definitely is an example of Black does not crack. And just his spirit. So, but it was, so when we came, you know, it was just like, yes, when we asked him, you know, for his blessings, and it was like, yes, I definitely want to partner with you guys or whatever. So I think that's our value of community, and making sure that we are doing something within our community to empower our community. Yeah. But then also, you know, personal value of faith, you know, of making sure faith and obedience, I would have to say. Yes. And it's, you know, when you kind of pose these questions, it made me think about stuff that I had never thought about this. Like, man, she's kind of making me like really go in and dig into myself. And it was something I've always told people, like, if I didn't pray about anything else, my next steps, I always prayed about my next steps about my job. It was something about that. Like, I felt like, and I guess it's because you spend so much time at work.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it is such an important aspect in your life. But I always prayed, and I was always obedient in regards of, okay, what do you want me to do? You know, before I take a job, if you don't want, I will always ask God, if you don't want me to go into this particular position, then, you know, order my steps, you know, make it very plain and clear to me so that I don't do, you know, X, Y, Z. And so, that value of obedience, making sure that I'm going in the direction that he wants me, and in this case, us, to go in, was very important for us, especially going into something that was uncharted waters. So and that's, I guess, with every job, every new job is always uncharted waters, because I feel like my response to people was, I know that when I go to work, there's going to be some issues, because you're working with other people. I can't predict how you're going to act. I can't predict how you're going to, relate to me or whatever. There's going to be some issues, but I just know that if God ordered my steps and he told me to go in this direction, that whatever issues arise, he's going to already have equipped me with the tools to be able to go through it.
Yes. And to be able to pivot. Right?
Yes.
To be able to pivot. I think that is so very key. When I think about the Stratosphere 7-step process, you stated what the highest level was. You definitely wanted to be able to educate individuals from underserved, under-resourced, marginalized communities to prove the possible that they could in fact be a homeowner, right? And then the fact that your husband brought in a skill set, like you guys complemented each other, and he brought in a skill set that they also still needed, right?
Right.
Yes, I'm going to educate you about this part, but we all know those finances is key.
Yes, ma'am.
Being able to manage your money is key. And I love the fact that I heard you say, because there's this idea that, I'm going to put my advertisements out and the people are going to come to me. And what I just heard you say was that you guys valued going into, immersing within the community. You went where the people were instead of going, say, you could have easily walked into Shape Center and just dropped off some flyers. But because you valued education, because you valued being inside the community, you created a workshop. Come on, a workshop for people to be able to learn about this process. That is huge. That's huge.
Yeah, and the response, because the workshop is not one of those, you go in, you sit down, and we just, teach a class. It is one-on-one, because so and I told my husband, I said, we need to I think people have this idea that they're going to come in and they're going to sit down and we're going to have a class, and it's not, because everybody has a different path towards home ownership. So, if you come in and you sit down, the first person you're going to sit down with is my husband or myself. And then we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to it's a quick little conversation in regards of what's your goals, what's your motivation, and all that stuff.
You take them through the Stratosphere process of home ownership.
Yeah, right. Because it's what's your goal? Like, how do we get you from number 1 to number 7, to that reward of home ownership,
and the title. Come on.
Exactly. And so when they come in and they sit down with us, then we determine, okay, you need to go straight into to go talk to the credit person that's here on site. Are you ready? You need to go in and talk to the lender. In a couple of cases, we've gotten people pre-approved right there on the spot. Yeah. And some people, it's I always tell people, it's never a no. It's just not right now. But at least when you leave out, you have, we give you a packet, you have a personalized plan to say, okay, Dayna Marie Hennigan, I need to do X, Y, Z, because, Tommy Jenkins over here next to me, he may need to do 1, 2, 3. So it's not, even if he got pre-approved and you didn't get pre-approved or whatever the situation is, you're walking out with a personalized plan to know you need to do whatever you need to do. And then we're going to be checking up on you. Have you done this? You need to do this or whatever. How's things going? Do you need another particular resource or whatever to, guide you along the way? So our workshop is truly a workshop in the sense of keying in on that working part, because we want you to, kind of have some little steps to get to that. It's work that you have to do to become a homeowner.
And I heard your educator piece come through. Well, our educator piece, you differentiate the process.
Yes.
Right? You differentiated the process. And so everybody's path is different. You gave them each an individual education plan to home ownership.
The IEP,
Yeah, look, IEP towards your home ownership. And, I think that, I was in a classroom today. So that ability for people to feel seen, heard, and valued. You have just brought that, process to home ownership. We're going to jump into step 3. Let's see. There we go. Step 3 is all about action steps. What were the 3 actions you took to bring this goal to life?
Okay, so I had to write it down because I didn't want to forget my 3 action steps. But the first one goes back to one of the values. I had to let go and let God. Yeah. So just a quick one right there. Just going back to this is 2022. Gosh, this time has gone by so quickly. So in 2020, in March of 2020, I was told, thanks, no thanks, we will not be needing your services further, at my other employment.
Yep.
And so and I battled, and I went back and forth. I battled with myself, and it was something.
No, when they say no is an acronym for new opportunities. So
I'm writing that down.
No to you. So I just had a no recently. It's 3 weeks fresh, and it has presented a new opportunity. And so thank God for that no. Thank God for that, hey, it has, your time, your season has ended. Yes. I am in a place of accepting mine. Your season has ended, because when I'm looking at the horizon, it's like, well, wait, God, you clearly had something better for me. And so your no was a new opportunity, because look at the shirt.
Yes, I wrote that down. I like that. And it was something that you said before we even recorded about how you quickly, were obedient. You were obedient to what God has asked you to do, what you're doing right now. And that was something the same that spoke to me, because that was something a little bit different than I had ever done. I was quickly to let go and let God. It went, I would say it was days for me, because I went through the steps of being a human. I was upset. Yes. I was confused. I was embarrassed. I was sad. I was angry, and then I was confused again, and I was angry, and all this stuff. And I started seeking, insight from everybody, old co-workers, old administrators, lawyers, my mama, my daddy, my husband. And I finally had to go, because during this time, this is when we were in straight pandemic mode. This was like March, April of when we were just told to go home.
Wow.
And it probably was April. Let me say probably maybe April, May. And so I had set up my office in our garage. And so that became, at that particular time, my spiritual closet. And so I had to go into my closet, and I had to just hush everybody. And I just asked God right then and there, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? Because I have sought insight into people, but I have yet to come to you. And so I had to, at that particular time, that was my first action step, was I had to let go, and I had to let go, because immediately at that particular time, he didn't take time. He didn't take a while to say anything to me. He immediately said, go follow your husband. And at that particular time, Roland was, he was in real estate. He was taking his, he was taking his classes. He was deep into real estate, and we were doing like real estate investment. And I said, you sure that's what you want me to do? And he said, yes, girl, yes.
That's how you know it's him. It don't be all, yes, God.
It's not like that. That is not how God talks to me. He said, yes, girl, yes, go follow your husband. And so in that particular moment, I got up, and immediately, like you said with you, I immediately went to my husband. I said, I'm done with this. I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm going to let go. And I said, I prayed about it, and God told me to follow you. I'm going to go into real estate. And for me, it wasn't just the fact that my husband was excited about it. It's to know my husband. My husband is very relaxed, laid back. You know, it take a lot to move him or whatever. And
like mine.
yeah, and he got so excited. I don't think, and I've told the story a couple of times, and I don't think he realizes his reaction. But his reaction was confirmation immediately for me. It was immediate. And so I knew at that particular time, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I have to let go. So that was my first action step, was to let go and let God. Okay. Number 2 was I had to pray and seek God in everything. Okay. Because it wasn't a beautiful
first sermon. Jesus. Huh? I said, it sounds like a first sermon.
Well, let me tell you, I'm not gonna go through a full sermon on here because I know we are limited on time, but I will tell you, it was not a pretty transition. Okay. To go, somebody may say, okay, 2019, you left your job, and 2021, we had a very successful real estate year, but it was not a pretty transition. Because we're going, our household is going from a stable income to a very I don't want to say it was an unstable income, but it was an unstable situation. We were going into a career that neither one of us had been in before. We had a child that was getting ready to graduate and go off to college, and she had already said, I'm leaving out of the state. I want to go to a school somewhere outside of the state of Texas. And so we were getting ready to go into something that we had never been in before. And my mind of like, okay, how am I going to make sure that, our lights stay on? How am I going to make sure that, car notes are paid? Okay, we're going into real estate. We're going to have gas money, to go show these houses. And when I say that, when I say I prayed about everything, I prayed about everything. I was afraid to make any moves without seeking God's, approval. I get chills just me saying that because it's serious.
That's what He wants, right? That is my pastor calls it a God did it moment, where all you will be able to say is God did it. He has removed our hands from the situation, right? And that takes a yielding and surrendering.
Yeah. When they say, but God, I mean, literally, when I think back, there was not a month that we ever went without. Our bills were always paid. I tell people too, like one of my biggest testimonies is throughout that time of not having our regular stable income, I was able to tithe more. I just got my tax thing back from the church the other day, and I was like, dang, I tithe that much. I was able to. I have never tithe, not that I didn't want to, but I just felt like I wasn't able to. And in that moment of actually being unemployed, I was able to tithe more than I've ever tithed before in my life.
Ma'am, you preaching a whole word. I'm gonna have to make my pastor a preview of this.
But that's, I think out of, I'm gonna go to number 3, but out of all the action steps, that number 2 was the biggest one, was to pray about everything. I pray and seek God with everything, because if He didn't say do it, don't you do it?
But it goes back to your value of being obedient.
Yes. And me being afraid of, because when things started happening as quickly as they started happening, and people would start asking me, what you gonna do next? I don't know. And I'm too afraid to say what I'm gonna do next. Whatever He tells me to do next, that's what I'm gonna do. I laughed with my sister-in-law. I had laughed. I said, girl, sometimes I pray about, should I eat white bread or brown bread, Lord? Let me let me know. I don't want to mess this up. You blessing me too good. I do not want to mess this blessing up,
So good.
But that was number 2. And then the last thing was, just as simple as it may sound, but it wasn't, to move. Like, you cannot stand still. When God gives you an assignment, you have to move. Like some people think that, God is going to bless you. Oh, he's a way maker. Yes, he's a way maker, but you got to still sometimes move out the way, or you have to move in the way that he's pushing you.
Correct.
And so I had to get up and I had to move, because it's one thing for him to give you an assignment, but if I'm not actually following the assignment, then I'm really not being obedient.
Yes. The whole idea of faith without works is dead, right? And so
exactly,
you say that, but I say grace and grit. And so I say God graces us opportunities. The grit is for me to step into the opportunity. And so that's what you did. You moved. He graced you with this opportunity, and your fortitude stepped you into it. That means it's perfect, but you were willing to put in the work. You were right. Obedient and willing to surrender to the process.
Yes. And when I moved, me and my husband, we always talk about it. My personality, I'm a doer, and my husband is a thinker. He's the, you tell me to do something, I get an idea, I get excited about it, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna run. With my husband, he's gonna think it out, and he's gonna think about things that I may not have thought about or whatever, but I'm gonna put it into action.
Yeah, and your husband and my husband sound like they fall in the same little personality.
So you understand my household and how this works.
Absolutely. So you said the 3 action steps: let go, let God.
Mm-hmm.
Seek God for a direction and move.
Yes.
Those were the 3. That's good stuff. Let's go to 4. Step 4 is all about, frozen here. There we go. Step 4 is all about tracking and measuring. So how did you track your progress, and how did you know you had achieved your goal?
Well, in real estate, it's pretty easy. When you closing on houses, you tracking, you're able to track your measure, your goals. But one of the things too was I had to set a goal. Okay. And that was a bit scary to say that this is my goal, because once you say that this is your goal, you got to stick to it, and in that, I even had an accountability partner. So I went to, I went to my brokerage, and I went to they have like a productivity coach, and I was like, okay, I need to meet with you every week, just to check in, because I'm a person who I think out loud. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I just need a thought partner, in this or whatever. And she became my accountability partner. And so I set my goals. And then I said, this is what I was going to do, and this is how I was going to achieve it. And so every week, even if she didn't give me advice, she at least just asked me, if nothing else, did you do what you said you were going to do last week? That type of thing. And so, and if I didn't do it, I feel so bad, like, oh, no, I didn't. And then I can't come up with no excuses or whatever, because she's going to hold me accountable. Like, I'm not trying to hear that, because she's going to give me something, a reason why. No, that's the reason that I don't want to hear that or whatever, because you could have done X, Y, Z or whatever. But that allowed me to track my measurements, because I had sought out to have a closing, at least 2 closings every month. I felt like that was something achievable.
Wow.
So it wasn't as seamless as 2 closings every month, because it's you count on other people or whatever. However, I did pretty much seek my goal. Well, what did I do? I did 2. No, I didn't do 2 goals. Let me not lie. I didn't do two every month. I didn't reach my total goal, but I did exceed my monetary goal, which was one. I wanted to make at least 1 million in sales for the year of 2021.
I saw you post that. I saw it on something where it was like a snapshot of. Was it a snapshot for 2021?
For 2021, my goals that we had hit for 2021. So my monetary goal was 1 million for 2021, and I exceeded that of 3. Okay. Yeah, we did 3.5 million in sales for our first year.
Your monetary goal.
Yes.
So I think that's neat for our audience to hear that while yes, you had a specific goal of 2 closings per month, and I'm certain you had, this is what I'm tracking for, but allowing God to do what he does, right? You didn't quite hit that, but you were able to triple your monetary goal.
Yes. And it was it was things in there like I was hitting goals that I didn't even realize that those goals were even achievable or they even existed. Because the brokers that I was at, they every month they would do like an award ceremony, and so they would call you the day before to say, hey, you know, either come to the meeting or, you know, tune in because you're going to be given an award. And I'm like, really? You know, I'm new to this, so I don't know like what awards y'all giving out and stuff. But I consecutively for August until December, I was hitting an award every single month of either top producer for that particular month or what they have like a triple double, something like that, where you do a certain amount of you've hit 3 goals within one particular month of closings and all that stuff or whatever. So just my closings was my way of tracking and measuring, but then also my accountability partner, having somebody there to actually, you know, hold me accountable for, you said you were going to do this, so this is what you need to do.
That's good. It goes back to a quote I always post that we strengthen what we focus on. The things that we measure are the things that we improve. And so to me, I don't see that any different than, you know, a weight loss goal. It allows our actions, our focus, our actions, behaviors to be focused on that one thing. And so, no, I didn't lose the 21, but I lost the 11. Well, 11 is better than gaining 11, right? And so I think that when we have the big goal, we have the interim goals, and we just keep, you know, improving by 1%, we ultimately make it. And having somebody to be able to hold us accountable to what it is that we said that we were going to do, encourage us possibly when we're a little off track, and help us be able to hone in on where can I improve or what is working so that I can keep replicating that, I think is so important to the goal achieving process.
And I was going to say that to that point, even when you don't achieve your goals, like to what you just said, what did I do that helped me to achieve the goal that I did achieve? And then also go back and be real with yourself. What did I not do that I could have done to achieve that goal? You know, because sometimes we can fool ourselves and be like, oh, I did everything I could. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You know, you could have done. Go ahead.
That takes a maturity in terms of our self-awareness, because a lot of times it's much harder to own up to, I really wasn't consistent in doing so and so. You know, I work out like a crazy person. I eat crazy. So I can't say that I didn't, I don't know why the weight not coming off. Lies. I do know why. I like crackers. I like chips. I like crunchy things that I'm not supposed to eat all day.
Right.
And so, yes, that is something that I can improve. Had I not done that, maybe I could have blushed. So that is something I want to be more mindful of moving forward, to reduce the consumption of that so that I can maximize my weight loss. Or in your case, I could have done blah so that I could have maximized maybe my exposure or, you know, cold calls. I don't know what you guys call it, but
and before we go on, just to say, you know, to anybody who's listening, choose your accountability partner wisely.
Say it again.
Choose your accountability partner wisely. You don't want a yes man. And it just makes me think about, my husband, he came, he said, okay, Dayna, he said, our goal, if we're going to be millionaires, our goal is, you know, to make sure that we adhere to a schedule on a regular basis and make sure that, you know, we are healthy. And so he was like, he took on the responsibility of us, you know, watching what we eat and for us to lose weight and be healthy. And then, because we got to live to see the millions that we're going to make. And then my responsibility is, you know, the scheduling, you know, because he was like, and we talked about like what our strengths were and who was going to be accountable for whatever. But then the other day he was like, okay, let's have a conversation about how do we think we did? And I got in my feelings because I told him, I said, I feel attacked because you telling me, you know, you talking about what I did or what I didn't do and all this stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, my husband is not my yes man. My husband is my accountability partner. And in that, sometimes you got to, it hurts, you know, for somebody to call you out on your shortcomings or whatever. But at the same time, too, within that hurt, like, you recognize that, but then you got to step it up. You have to, you know, adhere to what it is and do better. You know, now you know better. Now you got to do better if you're trying to reach that goal.
Right. the accountability. I mean, the fact that your husband they are our helpmates, right? And so he is helping in that stretching and vice versa, right? And so I think
Right.
it is super important that that accountability partner is a person who is able to help us see outside of ourselves. I don't know if you remember in KSLP, I always talked about being prismatic. We're prismatic people.
Mm-hmm.
And we may think we're projecting one thing, think that we're doing one thing, but on the opposite side of that prism, somebody's saying something
Something
completely.
totally different.
And so having a person who can say, you're like, I'm projecting my eyes. And they're like, yeah, but I see your left ear.
Yeah.
Hold on. Somebody who can really tell you what showed up, what
Right.
you actually did, how consistent you actually were, what you actually were good at. And here's a place where we need to grow or possibly pull in additional help to be able to meet that deficit. It's so important.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
ready for the next step?
I'm ready.
All right. So we are on to step 5, which are resources, support, and support. What did you need? What did you have to research? And who did you ask for help? Besides that,
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess my last comment kind of leads right into it because one of my resources and my support was definitely my husband in this. Because he had, gosh, like I'm just thinking about this is crazy. And I know we prayed about this or whatever to like when the Lord just lays something on you. So my husband, the fact that God told me to follow my husband and everything that I did was strictly after what he did. He got his license first and I got my license. And he would tell me like, okay, Dayna, be prepared to do this, this, and this, And so I kind of already knew what to do before I got there. Therefore, it was kind of an easy transition. And then he went into, interviewing with the different brokerages or whatever. So he kind of, he would tell me, okay, do X, Y, Z or whatever. So I was always prepared. And so it just kind of just hit me like literally just now about my resource and my support. My resource and my support was my husband. And it was like truly me following him, just like God said to do. He said, follow your husband. And literally I followed my husband in my steps. And, and that's pretty much like he did the research. He did a lot of the research before I had even gotten there. Like I said, he's a thinker. I'm the doer, not to say that I don't think, but I'm spontaneous. I'm ready to go or whatever. And gosh, like it's tripping me out how that just like it literally just, God just showed me that like, yeah, remember I told you, follow your husband or whatever. And that's literally what he ordered our footsteps in that direction. But I definitely I sought out books, being in education. I probably have gone on interviews before and somebody's asked, what are you reading right now? Type thing or whatever. So I always feel like you got to be reading something or whatever to kind of add tools to your toolbox. So, reading, asking questions, seeking out people who I saw, that was doing things that I wanted to do, following them on Instagram, following them on Facebook, being okay with asking somebody for a question, asking people questions and it's okay not to know.
It is okay to not know. It is okay to not know. I love Brene Brown. One of her first books, the title is escaping me right now, but I loved when she explained about vulnerability and courage, and that when a person is scaling, some kind of mountain or whatever, they are vulnerable because they could fall and they could lose, their life. But it also shows how courageous they are and how they intersect. It's a juxtaposition of vulnerability and courage. And I think that, a lot of time when people are thinking about launching something, they think that they're supposed to have all of the answers. And we need people. You remember that song in church, I need you, you need me.
Yes.
We need each other. And I believe that there are people who we can glean from, not compare, but people that we can glean from, and they can help us avoid some pitfalls. There are books that we can read to help become more aware and knowledgeable about the things that we are endeavoring to do. So when we're talking about resources and support, we're talking about using your reasoning, your adaptation. It's all about preparation. And when you're able to think through all of those pieces before the launch, or even in the beginning part of the launch, to me, that's like the best self-care.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it made me think about like me as a kid growing up. I was always a kid that I could sit back and I could see you doing something that you were not supposed to be doing. And I'm gonna learn from you. So I didn't get many spankings when I was younger, because I'm looking at somebody like, I don't think you need to be doing that or whatever. And that's what that was your end result. I don't want to do that. So I always was. It was very easy for me to learn from other people, whatever. And because of that, I was able to move through things a little bit quicker. Even in my career, I sat back, I looked at other principals, I looked at other teachers. I would go and sit in other teachers' classrooms and listen to them teach. And then I walk out like, hey, can I have this little handout or whatever? And then go back and I would adapt it to my teaching style, or my administrative style or whatever. I was never afraid to ask somebody for help or to just watch, just to watch, just to sit back and just, take in whatever they were doing, their greatness of what they were doing. And so that just transferred right on over to what I'm doing now. I mean, I literally just sat back and my husband was like, okay, do this, do this, do this, set your social media up like this. And then I went and I set it up, and then lo and behold, like it just took off. He would say something, or we'll be having a conversation, and 5 minutes later, I'm already working on like, okay, I'm gonna do this is whatever, and it just kind of manifested itself. So, I mean, it almost goes back to number 4, in your resources, and how I talked about your accountability partner and choosing your accountability partner. You got to choose your village. You got to choose your circle very carefully. I'm all about a village, that it takes a village, for you to grow and to go into the direction that you're supposed to be going into. You are not going to get where you're supposed to get to alone. Nobody ever got to where they got, wherever they were or wherever they are by themselves. But you have to be very cautious of who you surround yourself with.
Yes.
Are you surrounding people who are feeding into you? Correct. Are you surrounding people who are vultures, and just taking and taking?
Yeah.
Yes,
Understand it. One of my favorite visuals when I'm, one of my favorite visuals is just I don't have to dim your light for my light to shine. I want it to look like, when you see all those candles flickering together, we're gonna all shine together. Yes. So making sure that the people that are around us are people who they're shining, I'm shining, you're iron, I'm iron, we're sharpening each other, right? We're highlighting and creating ambiance and shine and glow or whatever, brilliance, together. And so having the right people speaking over us, encouraging us, highlighting wrongs for us is super important. Super important. We're going to jump into the next one. Computer freezing up just a hint. Step 6 is all about barriers. It is thinking ahead, preparing, visualizing what could go wrong, how we can prevent it, minimize it, or accept it. So when you think about the barriers, what were the barriers that you had to overcome?
The biggest and probably the main barrier that I had to overcome was myself. And that's just being transparent and just being real. I had to overcome my own fears, my own insecurities, because I knew how I got from education to real estate. I didn't tell anybody, that wasn't something I was, hey, y'all, I got fired. That wasn't something I was broadcasting to the world. And it was for multiple reasons. One, because it was a little bit of my insecurities. And also it was because God told me that it will be a time when you share that testimony, because sometimes people won't respect you when you're going through it, and people won't understand your story, and it won't have as much just impact when you're going through it. It has more impact once you have overcome, whatever you're going through. So he told me, like, just, I'm gonna give you a platform. I'm gonna tell you to tell your story, but just not yet. So I had to get out of my own way of the insecurities and the fear of somebody questioning, because people knew me for being an educator. They have an education question, they're gonna come to Dayna. And so so that was probably my biggest barrier, was me moving out of my own way and just allowing whatever to manifest.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That is so good. That is so good. We're going to go into step 7. And so what did that reward, recovery, or both look like for you and Roland?
So here's my thing. I have not, and I put that down. This is my goal for 2022, because okay. I'm such a helper. I get pleasure out of helping other people and seeing other people excited about stuff that I don't celebrate myself.
Man.
I know, and I'm being honest, but I said in 2022 that this is my year of, this is my year of travel. So I just turned 40, and
40 club.
Yes, it's trials and tribulations, girl. But woo, it's real.
It's real.
Hot flashes and all. So when I turned 40, I said, you know what, my first little bit was we went out of town and we went to Los Angeles. So I was like, I'm gonna celebrate myself. I like to travel. So okay. I was like, you know what, this is gonna be my year of travel. So I have not really gotten into rewarding myself, but that is my goal for this year, is to reward myself and to celebrate myself and to share my accomplishments with other people.
Yes. Do you know where you want to go?
So I planned a trip to Jamaica. We canceled it. I should have been returning from Jamaica yesterday, but with COVID, everything, I was afraid that I was like, I'm okay with getting there, but I'm afraid that what if we catch it and then we can't come back? Because, they test you before you come back. And I was afraid that we was going to get stuck over there. So I was like, I called my travel agent. I was like, can we put this off? So she was like, you're good. You got insurance. So.
Oh, wow. What are I haven't even looked. I know I'm ready to get on somebody's flight.
Let's go.
Where? Like, oh my gosh, I've got to get on a plane this summer. But yeah, I haven't locked in where I want to go. But in all honesty, we need to be bringing things down and focusing on. We'll be celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary in January, and so
congratulations.
But God, but by the grace.
Amen.
But yeah, all finances, everything needs to be allocated towards that. But we have 2 places that we have locked into. And so we just need to begin planning. But COVID.
I know. I know.
I'm tired to talk about COVID.
Same here.
So when we were planning for this Motivational Masterclass, we talked about my hope was that you sharing your faith over fear journey would be able to inspire someone else who desires to be a realtor. And so we talked through some advice. And so I would love for you to be able to share with our guests your golden nuggets for individuals who desire to do what it is that you and your husband are doing. So I'm going to bring that into the screen and give you time and space.
All right. Well, I've talked about a lot of these things, but the first thing is pray and seek God's direction. A lot of people want to get into real estate because of the monetary part of it. You can make a lot of money, and it is a very lucrative business. But I would highly suggest, because of everything, how expensive it is to become a realtor, I would ask and encourage people to pray and seek God's direction. Is that what he wants you to do? And if it is what he wants you to do, then it kind of jumps to the last one of whatever, then you just do it, and you have to go back to like my action steps or whatever. You have to step out of your own way and you have to let God, and you have to go into the direction he's telling you to do. But the biggest thing is, I would say, is to pray and seek God's direction, because there will be trials and tribulations. And I pray that whoever goes into this journey of real estate or whatever you want to go into, that it's a smooth and seamless transition. That when you go along your journey, if it is a journey that has been ordained by God, that He will already have placed those seeds and those things in you, so that you can get to the goal that He's telling you to go to. The next thing is, there is power in silence, and be comfortable with moving in silence. So, I briefly talked about how, I didn't share with people immediately, about what I was doing, why I was doing what I was doing, because God was building up a whole story and a whole testimony in me, things that I didn't even realize that, He was building up in me. But what it was is, I just had to be quiet. I mean, and my mom and I, we have a very close relationship. It's not a week that we go by that we're not talking at least 2-3 times, out the week. And so it was things that I didn't even tell her, because God told me, move in silence, and there's power in moving in silence, because even sometimes there are people who are around you who love you dearly and who will be your biggest cheerleader. But because God has not given them the assignment, they may be a little afraid for you. And they may speak their fear into God's assignment for you, and which could possibly stop you from moving in the direction that God told you to move into. Therefore, you should move in silence. If He didn't tell you to tell that person, don't tell them. And you can even ask, if you got a problem with opening up your mouth, Lord, silence me. When it's a time that I'm getting ready to say something, do something that's going to shut me up. You may start coughing or whatever, but He may do something to shut you up, because He does not want somebody to speak their fear into what you're supposed to be doing, their fear into your faith that that you're supposed to have in God. That's that faith over fear. And then the last thing is, just do it and move. If He has given you the assignment, so if you've prayed and you sought God's direction and you're moving and He's telling you what to do, and He's ordaining he's ordaining your steps, and He's making a path out of no way, and it's definitely going to seem like that. Like I didn't even see these doors open. I didn't know it was a door there. If He's telling you to do it, then you got to get up and you have to move. You got to do it. Because we can pray and we can ask for God to, God, can you do this? Lord, send me a man. Lord, send me a new job. Lord, send me a new car. Lord, send me millions of dollars or whatever. He's not going to send it to you just been sitting on your behind in your room. You got to get up and you have to move, and you have to be doing those things. Look, this shirt right here, before we became Hennigan Realty Group, I had already created the shirt, made the shirt, and started wearing the shirt, because He had already told me the assignment, and I was moving in faith. And even my husband was like, Dayna, you shouldn't be wearing it because we're not legally Hennigan Realty Group yet. But I was like, I know, but we're going to be Hennigan Realty Group. And so I just started wearing it, and the responses that I got from wearing the shirt was crazy. It was crazy. But sometimes, again, even though I know that I'm supposed to be walking this path with my husband, sometimes God gave me some things that He didn't tell my husband. And so sometimes I can't tell him. I didn't call my husband and say, can I go buy this shirt? I just went and bought it, and I just had it on one day, and I just did it. I moved in silence. And then when I started wearing, I just did it. I just moved, and things just started manifesting, and things just started moving in direction. So pray and seek God's direction. Move in silence. Be okay. Be comfortable with moving in silence. And then once He gives you those things, once God has given you the direction that He wants you to go into, you got to get up and you have to move, because it's not going to happen by just sitting still. And those are my golden nuggets for anybody who is listening to today's motivational. I'm sorry, I want to say it correctly. Motivational Masterclass. Yes.
That's good. So Dayna, tell them how they can reach you and Roland.
So you can reach us directly at the number that's on the screen, 713-478-7443, or you can reach out to Roland at 832-890-5400. You can also go to our website at henniganrealty.com. That's Hennigan, HENNIGAN, realty.com. And then you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We don't have all those fancy names, so it's really just our name. So on Instagram, I think I'm at D Hennigan Realty. No, I'm at Hennigan Realty. And then on Facebook, I'm at Dayna Tolbert Hennigan. And then Roland is Roland Hennigan. So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or you can go to our website.
I love it. I love it. So I'm going to close us out. If you are looking for a realtor dedicated to educate, encourage, and motivate you to achieve your real estate goal, beat all the odds placed on you by family, society, and maybe even yourself, here is the Realty Group for you. I appreciate you, Dayna, for coming on today and sharing your journey of faith over fear. You have given me so many nuggets. You have no clue as to how much life you have spoken into me, because I am in a similar situation to what you experienced that brought you to your new opportunity. And so thank you for sharing your journey on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Well, friends, you have just heard Dayna's faith over fear process using the Stratosphere 7-step process, where she explained her highest level, her values, her action steps, tracking and recovery, resources and support, overcoming barriers, reward, and recovery. And so I am here to help you, Stratosphere. Go to precious-parks.com today to schedule your vision planning session so that you can live your highest level. We thank you for joining us on Motivational Masterclass episode. It's gonna work out for your good.